The rain performed its nocturnal symphony on the cobblestones outside Clara Bennett's quaint antique shop. Tucked away in a historic district of the sprawling city, the shop was a sanctuary of relics and memories, a small world where dusty treasures whispered tales of forgotten eras. Inside, Clara moved with deliberate grace between aged books, time-worn trinkets, and meticulously arranged heirlooms, her warm hazel eyes reflecting both wistfulness and quiet resolve. Clara had always believed that every object in her shop carried a secret, a remnant of a time when life brimmed with mystery. Tonight, as the amber light of a vintage lamp danced across her work table, the shop's familiar aromas of old paper and amber polish mingled with the cool scent of rain sneaking in through a slightly ajar window. Yet beneath this comforting routine lay an undercurrent of anticipation, as though the night itself had chosen to confide a secret in her ear. Time ticked steadily on the antique clock that had belonged to her grandmother. Its rhythmic beat was both a lullaby and a metronome, marking moments that hinted at the possibility of transformation. As midnight approached, a stillness descended over the shop, a silence heavy with expectation, and punctuated by the distant roll of thunder. A sudden soft knock startled Clara from her reverie. "Come in," she whispered, her voice a blend of curiosity and gentle caution. The door creaked open to reveal a figure swathed in shadow. His tailored coat and measured, deliberate gait suggested a man accustomed to secrets. Under the dim glow, his features emerged, a subtle, enigmatic smile, and eyes that carried the promise of untold adventures. "Good evening, Miss Bennet," the stranger intoned, his voice resonating with echoes of faraway places and ancient lore. There was an ease in his manner, as though he were both a visitor and a guardian of mysteries long concealed. Clara's heart fluttered with a mix of trepidation and intrigue. "Good evening," she replied, allowing a small smile to break through her usual reserve. The stranger extended a gloved hand and presented her with a small, intricately carved box. "Leave this belong," he said softly. As Clara accepted the box, the quiet rain outside seemed to murmur in agreement, as if affirming that this was the moment destiny had been crafting for her all along. In that charged moment, beneath the harmonious cadence of raindrops and the gentle, reassuring tick of the old clock, Clara felt something within her stirred, a dormant spark eager to explore the depths of both the past and the possibilities of love and magic. It was as if the shop, with all its relics, had prepared her for this singular encounter, one that would soon alter the course of her life and reveal that true wealth often lies hidden in the secrets of our hearts. Later that evening, as Clara carefully closed the door to her shop, the carved box remained cradled in her arms like a newfound treasure. The rain had eased to a gentle drizzle, and the city streets shimmered under a misty glow. Though her shop was her haven, a magnetic pull urged her to step beyond its safe confines. With the mysterious box tucked securely in her satchel, Clara set out into the hushed urban night. The city appeared transformed under the veil of fog and soft streetlight, a labyrinth of familiar streets, now alive with secrets. Every corner hinted at possibilities, and every shadow seemed to cradle a whispered promise. Guided by an inexplicable intuition, Clara found herself drawn toward a narrow alley where the ordinary and the extraordinary met. There, emerging from the mist like a phantom of destiny, was the man from her shop. He stood beneath a flickering street lamp, his presence as magnetic as it was enigmatic. "I see the night has been kind to you," he remarked, his tone light and teasing, yet imbued with a weight that spoke of deeper mysteries. Clara offered a tentative smile, her eyes reflecting both caution and curiosity. "I was hoping to find answers about this," she said, gesturing to the small box in her arms. "But I didn't expect the night to answer with you present." He stepped forward gracefully. "I am Elias Black," he introduced himself, his voice smooth like velvet, and his gaze steady. "If you're enjoying the video, please help me by subscribing to the channel. It will make a huge difference and help me a lot." This box, and what it conceals, is not mere coincidence. It is an enchanted amulet, an heirloom of destinies past, entrusted to those with hearts attuned to the magic of life. His words carried a sense of reverence, suggesting that the amulet was a relic steeped in ancient lore and personal history. Clara's curiosity deepened. "But why me? I'm just an antique dealer," she murmured, a blend of wonder and uncertainty tinting her voice. Elias's eyes softened with a hint of a secret smile. "Sometimes," he said gently, "the universe chooses its champions in the most unexpected ways. There is a spark within you, a hunger for truth and a willingness to embrace the unknown." He reached out, briefly touching the box with a gloved hand before returning it to her. "The amulet will reveal its secrets in time, and you, Miss Bennet, may yet discover that true wealth lies not only in material treasures, but in the richness of life's mysteries. The air around them pulsed with quiet magic. As the drizzle resumed its gentle cadence, the two lingered in a moment of shared understanding. The amulet, resting now against Clara's heart, seemed to glow softly as if echoing Elias's words. In that moment, the ordinary boundaries of her life began to blur, replaced by a horizon filled with both wonder and the promise of danger. With a final, knowing nod, Elias melted back into the night, leaving Clara with a mind alight with questions and a heart pounding in anticipation. The encounter had set in motion a chain of events that would soon lead her to places where the past and the future converged. A journey into a realm where every whispered secret might be the key to unlocking a destiny intertwined with love and magic. Dawn crept into the sky as Clara returned to her antique shop, the mysterious amulet now gently resting on her desk like a living relic. The carved box had been opened, unveiling a delicate pendant whose surface shimmered with cryptic symbols. With a deep breath, Clara set about uncovering the secrets woven into its design. Determined to understand the legacy now entrusted to her, her sanctuary transformed into a research haven. She retrieved brittle, leather-bound volumes from a hidden shelf and spread out yellowed manuscripts across her oak table. Each page she turned spoke of legends, tales of enchanted relics that bridged the gap between the mortal and the mystical. In the faded ink of forgotten authors, she discovered that the amulet was no ordinary artifact. It was said to be a key, passed down through secret custodians who believed that true power lay in embracing both magic and love. The ancient texts hinted at a lineage of guardians whose lives were intertwined with the relic's fate. Among the annotations, a name recurred like a dark refrain: Malcolm Drake, a man whose ambition was as notorious as it was chilling. Whispers of his relentless pursuit of enchanted artifacts filled the margins, warning of his willingness to sacrifice all for power and control. The thought of his presence in the shadows sent a shiver of foreboding through Clara's heart, yet it only steeled her resolve further. Memories of Elias's cryptic assurances returned to her as she carefully noted down every detail in a leather-bound journal, a prized heirloom passed down from her grandmother. With each symbol she deciphered, Clara sensed that the amulet was alive, its power evolving in tandem with the intentions of its keeper. There was even a fleeting glimpse of a more profound connection, as if the relic itself remembered the ancient love and sacrifice of those who had come before her. As morning turned to a soft afternoon, Clara paused, reflecting on the delicate balance of hope and danger that now defined her path. The amulet's glow seemed to pulse in harmony with her heartbeat, a silent promise that the answers she sought lay not only in ancient texts, but in embracing the transformative power of her own heart. In that moment, she resolved that her journey would be one of courage and compassion, no matter the challenges ahead. Yet, amidst the hope, a lingering question remained. Why had fate chosen her for this burden? Perhaps it was her unwavering belief in the stories hidden within every relic. Or maybe it was the quiet resilience that had carried her through years of doubt. Whatever the reason, Clara knew that she could not ignore the pull of destiny. The past was echoing through her present, urging her to unlock the secrets of the amulet, and with them, to rediscover the wealth of her own soul. That evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of deep indigo, Clara returned to her work table with renewed determination. The amulet lay open before her, its intricate symbols inviting scrutiny. Alongside it, an old parchment, discovered tucked between the pages of a century-old ledger, hinted at a language lost to time. With careful strokes, she began to trace the symbols onto a fresh sheet of paper, her mind alive with the possibility that these coded messages were more than decorative. They were the voice of history itself. The script was a mesmerizing blend of archaic calligraphy and swirling motifs, its meaning shifting subtly as if it were imbued with magic. There is a rhythm here, Clara murmured to herself, pausing to study a recurring spiral emblem, a sign of renewal and the cyclical nature of fate. Each symbol resonated with the promise that the amulet was not static, but an evolving artifact that chose its guardian according to the purity of one's heart. Just then, a familiar presence filled the doorway, a silhouette framed by the soft glow of the moon. Elias Black appeared as if conjured by the night itself, his expression both mischievous and wise. "Not every mystery is meant to be unraveled alone," he said with a warm smile that belied the urgency in his eyes. Clara welcomed his presence. "I'm trying to decipher these messages, Elias. They seem to shift in meaning, almost as if they're alive with memories of the past." She slid the partially decoded page toward him. Elias studied the symbols with an intensity that softened into admiration. "This is no mere inscription. Each character here is a repository of moments, of love, loss, and rebirth. See this spiral? It's a symbol of continuity. The amulet's power isn't fixed. It evolves with the bearer's experiences, much like our own hearts do. His words carried the weight of ancient wisdom, blending playfulness with deep-seated knowledge. Together, they pored over the parchment. Elias's gentle guidance and reflective insights not only helped clarify the enigmatic code, but also deepened the bond between them. In moments of quiet revelation, they shared memories of past encounters and their mutual hopes for the future. Each deciphered line painted a picture of an amulet that was not merely a relic of wealth, but a living testament to the cycles of destiny and love. As the night deepened, Clara paused to reflect on her journey so far. The amulet, with its pulsating glow, was more than a mysterious object. It was a mirror of her inner evolution. Perhaps, she said softly, the message is not solely in the symbols, but in how they transform as I do. My understanding of love and legacy may be the key to unlocking its true potential. Elias nodded, his gaze filled with gentle certainty. Exactly. Embrace this dance between history and heart. Let every decoded message be a step toward discovering not only the amulet's legacy but the treasure within yourself. In that moment, the scattered notes and shifting symbols formed a silent chorus, a promise that the mysteries of the past and the magic of the present were intricately entwined, guiding Clara ever closer to her destiny. With the first light of dawn softening the edges of the city, Clara stepped out of her beloved shop, her mind alive with newly decoded clues and the heavy promise of destiny. Clutching her leather-bound journal, now filled with cryptic symbols and personal reflections, she set off toward the hidden corners of the antique world, determined to follow the trail that the amulet had laid before her. The urban landscape, usually vibrant with daytime hustle, now wore a cloak of quiet mystery. Narrow alleys and abandoned storefronts took on an almost otherworldly quality as the morning mist lent them a spectral appearance. Guided by the faded directions scrawled in her journal and the echo of Elias's advice, Clara found herself before an unassuming building with peeling paint and a history as rich as the relics housed within. Inside, the air was heavy with the scent of old paper, candle wax, and secrets. The interior was softly illuminated by scattered vintage lamps, their gentle light casting long shadows that danced upon the walls. A hushed murmur filled the room as a small gathering of collectors, mystics, and relic enthusiasts exchanged knowing glances. These individuals, like her, were keepers of forgotten lore, a community bound by the shared belief that true wealth was measured not in gold, but in the depth of history and magic. At the center of this clandestine meeting was Mr. Caldwell, an eccentric scholar of antiquities whose eyes betrayed a lifetime spent immersed in the arcane. His presence was both commanding and reassuring, and he welcomed Clara with a measured nod. "You have arrived at a pivotal moment," he said in a low, steady tone, his voice laced with both caution and hope. "The relic you bear stirs forces that have long been dormant, and we have only whispered of its secrets until now." Clara, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation, took a seat at an old, creaking table. As Mr. Caldwell unfurled ancient maps and cryptic diagrams, he shared fragments of lore, tales of enchanted amulets that connected generations through love, sacrifice, and the inexorable pull of fate. In these whispered stories, Clara recognized not only the legacy of the relic, but hints of her own potential. Amid the murmur of voices and the soft rustle of yellowed pages, subtle hints of doubt emerged among some in the gathering. A few eyes lingered on her with a mixture of envy and forewarning, a silent reminder that in this realm of hidden truths, loyalty was as fragile as the relics they cherished. Even as the group spoke in hushed tones about Malcolm Drake, a name that sent shivers down Clara's spine, the room remained united in their shared quest for understanding. With a deep breath, Clara resolved to step further into this shadowed world. The path ahead was fraught with peril and uncertainty, yet illuminated by the promise of unlocking both ancient secrets and the untapped power within her. Surrounded by kindred spirits who guarded the past, she embraced the journey, determined that every step into the darkness would lead her closer to the light. That night, under a velvet sky scattered with faint stars, Clara found refuge in a hidden courtyard behind the clandestine meeting place. The building's old brick walls, softened by creeping ivy, created an intimate sanctuary where secrets could be safely shared away from prying eyes. The air was cool and tinged with the lingering scent of candle wax and aged parchment, a stark contrast to the uncertainty that churned. Seated on a stone bench beneath a faded mural, Clara's thoughts swirled with the day's discoveries and the foreboding presence of Malcolm Drake. It was then that the gentle footfalls of someone approaching eased the burden of solitude. Elias Black emerged from the darkness, his silhouette framed by the soft glow of a nearby lantern. His eyes, warm and earnest, held a depth that spoke of shared hardships and unspoken promises. "Clara," he greeted quietly, settling beside her as if the night had conspired to unite kindred souls. "I sensed you needed a moment away from the storm of revelations." His tone carried both reassurance and a subtle invitation to confide. Clara exhaled slowly, her voice trembling with both vulnerability and determination. "I feel caught between the comforting familiarity of my shop and this dangerous new realm of secrets and betrayal." She paused, her gaze drifting to the worn patterns on the bench. "I've always believed in the magic of relics, but now I wonder if my own heart is the true treasure I've been guarding all along." Elias's expression softened as he reached out and gently brushed a stray auburn curl from her face. "Every heart holds its own kind of magic. In our darkest hours, when everything seems uncertain, it is the bonds we forge that light our way. You have a strength in you that you may not yet fully recognize. A strength born from love, hope, and the willingness to face the unknown." Their conversation meandered through memories and dreams. Elias recounted tales of past journeys where love and loss intertwined to shape destiny, while Clara shared snippets of her own quiet struggles and aspirations. In these moments, the dangerous allure of the amulet and the ominous threat of Malcolm Drake receded into the background, replaced by a profound human connection. As the conversation deepened, Clara confessed, "Sometimes, I wonder if fate brought us together, not just for the mystery of the relic, but so that we could remind each other that even in darkness, there is light." Her voice wavered with both hope and the pain of past betrayals. Elias nodded, his gaze steady. "Indeed, the bonds we form in times of trial not only help us endure, but they transform us. Every challenge you face is a step toward discovering the fullness of who you are meant to be." In that secluded courtyard, surrounded by the soft rustle of leaves and the distant hum of the city, their shared moments became a balm for Clara's wounded spirit. Here, the seed of trust took root, nurturing a bond that promised to support her in the trials ahead. As they sat in silence, the only sound the gentle sigh of the night, Clara felt a tentative peace, a belief that together, with love and courage, even the darkest paths could lead to a brilliant dawn. The first light of day broke with a melancholy drizzle, the cityscape still shrouded in the quiet remnants of night. Clara stepped from her shop, her thoughts lingering on the comforting words shared in the courtyard. Yet, as she navigated the familiar streets, now altered by a persistent air of suspense, an unmistakable feeling of being watched set her nerves on edge. Each step resonated with cautious determination. Passing storefronts and narrow alleyways, she couldn't shake the sensation that unseen eyes followed her every move. At a busy intersection, as the red light flickered to green, she caught a glimpse of a dark sedan idling across the street. Its windows were tinted, and within, figures exchanged subtle, knowing glances. A chill crept along her spine as she recalled Mr. Caldwell's dire warning about Malcolm Drake's expanding influence. Later that morning, Clara made her way back to the secret meeting place. The atmosphere inside was charged with an anxious energy. Whispers of fear and uncertainty replaced the usual congenial murmur of kindred collectors. Mr. Caldwell's normally measured tone was edged with urgency, as he confided, "There are signs that Malcolm Drake's reach is growing bolder. His agents have been spotted near key points in the city. We must remain vigilant." Clara's heart pounded as she absorbed the gravity of his word. The room's dim lighting cast long, dancing shadows, mirroring the danger creeping into every corner of her journey. As she exchanged worried glances with a few of the group's elder members, those who had guarded relics for decades, a palpable tension filled the air. They all knew that every whispered secret now carried the weight of imminent. Determined to secure the knowledge that might save them from this encroaching darkness, Clara retraced her steps back into the city's labyrinthine alleys. The streets, still slick with early morning rain, reflected fragmented images of a world where trust was scarce, and every shadow could conceal a hidden enemy. With every step, Clara recalled Elias's words from the night before. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the resolve to face it head-on. Her resolve crystallized as she recognized a figure darting just beyond the periphery of her vision, a fleeting silhouette that vanished as quickly as it appeared. The adrenaline surged in her veins, mixing with the quiet determination that had been steadily building within her. It was clear, Malcolm Drake's network was closing in, and the dangerous game of cat and mouse had only just begun. Clara's internal struggle was mirrored in the shifting urban landscape. Each narrow corridor and shadowed alcove became both a potential refuge and a trap. The looming threat forced her to confront not only the external dangers, but also the internal doubts that had haunted her for years. Was she truly ready to risk everything for the sake of a relic, for the promise of love and the discovery of her own inner strength? As the morning wore on, the city's pulse quickened and Clara's steps grew more resolute. With every cautious glance over her shoulder, she silently vowed that she would not allow fear to dictate her fate. Instead, she embraced the challenge as a test of her newfound courage, a testament to the strength forged in the bonds of love and shared destiny. In that charged atmosphere, as the threat of shadows loomed ever larger, Clara marched forward. Each step was a declaration that even when pursued by darkness, the light within could never be extinguished. Night had draped the city in an inky veil once more, and Clara found herself retracing her steps along a deserted side street. The earlier warnings of danger echoed in her mind, mingling with the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. Just when she thought she might catch a breath, fate delivered a crushing blow: betrayal. Emerging from the gloom was Sophie Ramirez, Clara's trusted friend and confidant. For years, Sophie had been a beacon of unwavering support, someone who shared in the quiet triumphs and tribulations of the antique shop. But now, as the street lamp's pale glow revealed a cold detachment in her eyes, Sophie's presence sent a ripple of disbelief through Clara's soul. "Sophie?" Clara asked, her voice barely a whisper, heavy with hurt and confusion. "What are you doing here?" Sophie's gaze was distant, haunted by forces unknown. "I'm sorry," she murmured, her tone laced with regret that barely masked resignation. "I had no choice." In that brief, shattering moment, Clara realized that the bond of friendship she had so cherished had been compromised. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical wound. Before Clara could react further, rough hands gripped her arms from behind. Figures cloaked in darkness and malice emerged from the shadows. Agents of Malcolm Drake, whose presence had been forewarned but never fully comprehended until now. Their leader, a stern man with eyes as cold as steel, stepped forward. "Your meddling ends tonight, Miss Bennett. Some secrets are better left undiscovered." Fear and adrenaline surged in Clara's veins as she struggled against the firm grip that sought to pull her into the abyss. The amulet at her throat pulsed erratically, as if resonating with her rising despair. The betrayal by Sophie and the sudden onslaught of Malcolm's enforcers merged into a cacophony of treachery and looming peril. In the chaos, Clara's mind raced with the memories of tender moments shared with Elias in the courtyard, and the hopes that had blossomed in the midst of darkness. With a cry that pierced the night, she mustered every ounce of strength and defiance within her. "I will not let you take what is mine!" she shouted, her voice echoing with raw determination. The ensuing struggle was fierce, a blur of desperate moves, clashing bodies, and the palpable threat of magic lit with malice. Each blow exchanged was a testament to Clara's will to survive, even as the sting of betrayal threatened to. Amid the turmoil, a brief, searing flash of clarity illuminated her mind. Every hardship, every treacherous twist, was a step toward unveiling her true strength. In that desperate melee, the amulet's glow intensified, bathing the dark street in an almost otherworldly light. It was as if the relic itself had awakened, channeling centuries of hope, love, and sacrifice into a radiant force. In that moment, Clara's anguish transformed into fierce resolve. Though pain and betrayal gnawed at her, she discovered that the embers of her spirit were not so easily extinguished. The agents retreated under the force of her sudden surge of energy, their ominous silhouettes dissolving into the shadows from which they had emerged. Clad in bruises and marked by the scars of betrayal, Clara stood alone for a heartbeat, a lone figure against the oppressive dark. Yet within that solitary pause lay a promise, that the crucible of despair would forge her into someone unbreakable, a guardian of not only an ancient relic, but also of her own reborn heart. In the depths of an abandoned relic chamber, a cavernous space where crumbling stone met the ghost of former grandeur, Clara prepared for the confrontation that would decide her destiny. Moonlight seeped through shattered windows, illuminating dust motes that danced like memories in the still air. The amulet, now a vibrant beacon at her chest, pulsed steadily in time with her determined heartbeat. At the far end of the chamber, Malcolm Drake materialized, his presence as imposing as ever. Dressed impeccably in a tailored suit that contrasted with the chamber's decay, his eyes bore into Clara with calculated malice. "Miss Bennett," he sneered, his voice echoing against the cold wall, "your meddling has run its course. That amulet, and all that it represents, belongs to me." Clara squared her shoulders, drawing on every ounce of the inner strength she had cultivated through pain, betrayal, and the bonds forged in the dark. "You see it as a means to your own power, but it is far more than a tool for greed," she retorted, her voice resonant with defiant clarity. It is a symbol of hope, of love, and of the transformative power within every heart. A fierce silence descended before the storm of their clash erupted. Malcolm lunged, his hands conjuring tendrils of shadow that snaked through the air. In response, Clara raised the amulet, and a burst of brilliant light sliced through the gloom, mingling with the raw energy of her emotions. The duel became a tempest, a collision of magic and will, where every spell cast and every parry was a testament to the forces of darkness and the power of a reawakened spirit. Between the flashes of combat, Clara's mind flashed back to moments of quiet resolve, the whispered words of Elias, the support of Mr. Caldwell, and even the painful sting of betrayal. Each memory steeled her resolve further. "I am more than your pawn," she declared, her voice mingling sorrow and triumphant courage as the amulet flared in radiant response. "I stand for those who dare to love, to dream, and to defy fate." The chamber vibrated with the intensity of their struggle. Time seemed to stretch, with every heartbeat marking a defiant stand against darkness. In a final, climactic surge, Clara channeled the full force of the amulet's ancient power. A brilliant, blinding light erupted, overwhelming both combatants and forcing Malcolm to stagger back as his carefully constructed dominion of shadows shattered around him. When the light finally receded, Malcolm Drake stood disarmed and defeated, a mere shadow of his former menace, while Clara, bruised yet unbowed, remained resolute. The relic chamber, now imbued with the soft echoes of victory, bore silent witness to a battle where love, courage, and destiny had prevailed over cold ambition. As dawn crept over the horizon, its gentle light transformed the cityscape into a realm of hope, and Clara emerged from the relic chamber into the crisp morning air, every breath a testament to the resilience that had carried her through the night's tempest. Though her body bore the marks of battle, her spirit shone with a quiet, unyielding radiance. The amulet, nestled close to her heart, now emitted a steady, harmonious glow, a symbol of the transformation that had taken place within. Walking through the quiet streets, Clara made her way back to her beloved antique shop, a haven that once housed only relics of the past, and now held the promise of a reimagined future. The shop's familiar facade, bathed in the soft glow of early sunlight, appeared transformed, as though reflecting the inner light that now burned within her. Every object on its shelves seemed to pulse with renewed significance, each artifact a reminder that even the most unassuming relic could harbor stories of profound love and hope. Inside, as Clara set about restoring the shop, she took extra care with every detail, polishing surfaces, rearranging displays, and gently handling each piece as though it were imbued with magic. In her heart, she knew that the shop would now serve as a sanctuary not only for forgotten treasures, but for those seeking solace, truth, and a spark of inspiration. It was a place where the past and the present converged, where every visitor might feel the stirring of their own untold destiny. Before long, a familiar, comforting presence graced the doorway. Elias Black stepped in, his eyes warm with admiration and quiet joy. "Welcome back, Clara," he said softly, the simple greeting laden with the promise of shared tomorrows. "Today, you have reclaimed not only your destiny, but also the magic of this world." Clara's smile was gentle and resolute as she replied, "I've learned that true wealth isn't measured by what we own, but by the love, courage, and wisdom we gather along the way. This shop is now more than a business. It's a testament to every trial, every betrayal, and every victory that has led me to this moment." The morning unfolded slowly, with soft conversations between Clara and a few loyal patrons who had heard whispers of the shop's transformation. In every exchanged word and every gentle smile, the legacy of the amulet's magic, of love overcoming darkness, was palpable. As the day progressed, the shop filled with a renewed sense of purpose and light, a living archive of hope for those searching for beauty and truth in a chaotic world. In a quiet moment by the window, Clara gazed out at the awakening city, feeling a profound gratitude for the journey that had reshaped her life. She realized that every step, through shadows, betrayal, and fierce confrontation, had been necessary to uncover the treasure that lay within her own heart. And with that realization came a promise to embrace each new dawn with open arms, to nurture the light within, and to share it with all who sought a little magic in their own lives. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel. Your subscription will show that I'm on the right path to bring you the best videos ever. And if you enjoyed this video, check this one out too.